Heaven Studio is the free open source Rhythm Heaven level maker that has garnered a lot of attention this year, and rightly so. It's a great piece of software that lets you create all the Rhythm Heaven levels your mind can imagine. And while we've made it this far since the release of 1.0 in January, Nintendo has stepped in finally and issued a DMCA. Both Heaven Studio's itch.io and GitHub pages are currently down, but in this video we're going to talk about Heaven Studio's plan B for how they're going to come back and what that means for all you Rhythm Heaven fans. And for those of you who just missed your chance to download the software, I got you. By the way, my name's DaftHusky, and if you love rhythm game content, hit the subscribe. Now let's talk about Heaven Studio's plan B for the future. First, we'll start off. It was actually in May that they first received a DMCA against their itch.io page. However, we didn't really believe this to be a true takedown from Nintendo, as they speculated that this takedown was a fake takedown, or more so a takedown troll. And I never really covered this on YouTube, but just told people to go to the GitHub page instead while this got resolved. But clearly things have escalated further, and now we can see, if I scroll up the Heaven Studio Twitter, on June 19th we get this tweet. Hello, recently the Heaven Studio GitHub and all forks have been taken down due to a DMCA claim. Unfortunately, looking over, it appears that this one is real. This isn't the end though. We're working on a plan B to shift focus away from infringing assets. So they actually go on to explain what that means a little bit later, but it has come out that Nintendo are paying attention to this fan game and have taken swift action against it. So a lot of people are assuming that Heaven Studio is dead in the water after this, but I promise you, from what I've heard, that is not going to be the case. Things are just going to look a little bit different later on, as the future of Heaven Studio is not going to include references to Rhythm Heaven, but you will just have to find those assets on your own outside of the main download. This is not the end of Heaven Studio. Instead, we're going to be shifting our goal for core development from recreating Rhythm Heaven to making tools and frameworks for creating rhythm-based games. Soon we'll be re-releasing the source code so people can work with that. We can't legally share the full game, but remember, Heaven Studio still exists on many people's computers, and all the original assets are backed up. In short, Heaven Studio isn't dead or going to die, but it's going to be quiet for a bit. We need to make some major changes, and those changes are going to take time. Keep posted. We'll hopefully have something to show off in the near future. Thank you for sticking with us. And then somebody also asked, oh sick, does this mean people can make their own Rhythm Heaven fan games much easier now? To which they responded, essentially, yeah, we want Heaven Studio to become a way for people to painlessly start development on their own rhythm games. It'll be completely free to use for commercial games as well. We may be working on one ourselves too, but don't expect any news on that for at least a while, lol. So essentially what you need to understand, if you're a Heaven Studio fan and you're worried about the development of the Rhythm Heaven games, well, essentially the development for the games isn't going away. In fact, Heaven Studio will continue to progress as normal, but they're no longer advertising themselves as a Rhythm Heaven recreation, and future builds of the software will not include the Rhythm Heaven games. They'll just have to be sourced separately from the official website. It's almost similar to how when you play a game on an emulator, the emulator is legal to download, but if you want to source the games to play, you have to source your own ROM file. So while Heaven Studio may be laying low so they can develop for Plan B, essentially nothing is going to change in the background. It's mainly how they're presenting themselves and allowing the source code to be released so that anybody can develop their own mini games or entire rhythm games based on Heaven Studio, which I think is really cool. It does suck though, because obviously right now the software is not as accessible as it used to be. Of course, I made a tutorial guide like 4 months ago talking about where to download Heaven Studio, which is kind of out of date right now because you can't find Heaven Studio at any of those places. However, if you do join the Heaven Studio Discord and ask around, you'll probably find somebody who has a copy that they're willing to send to you over DMs, but I'll also leave a link in the description that could help you out. And of course, when we get new updates about Heaven Studio, I'll be sure to cover that as well so that you have more concrete information about the future of the project. And in their latest tweet, we've even got a brand new redesigned logo to kind of further separate the brand from the Rhythm Heaven assets, which I think is a smart move. So essentially, Heaven Studio is going to be rebranding their whole identity, but the Rhythm Heaven minigames are still going to be available to you. You're just not going to find them through the official means like you used to. Also, if we take a trip over to the Heaven Studio Discord server, you can see that they have opened up a DMCA FAQ so that everybody can be aware of what's going on. So you can read up on this. But one of the biggest questions, so what'll happen to the Rhythm Heaven content? We can't legally redistribute the Rhythm Heaven sprites and sound effects, but they're all safely backed up. We'll be re-releasing the source code, only the source code. It's up to the users to find the assets and add them back in, but they'll still be compatible. Also, when will the new Heaven Studio release? When it's done. We kind of had this dropped on us out of nowhere, and we're going to have to make some massive changes. It's going to take some time to get everything up and running again, and we don't know how much. We'll keep you updated as best as we can, though. What will happen to the editor? Don't worry, the editor is here to stay. In fact, it's highly likely the editor will barely even be changed. So, with all of that said, Heaven Studio fans can continue to operate as normal. At first, I was really worried about what this DMCA could mean, but it seems like the community and dev team have all been prepared for this to happen and are at least beginning to shift to plan B. As much as it sucks for Nintendo to DMCA the project, I do think that the team is handling it very well and cooperating to the fullest extent to be able to make sure that we still get to enjoy this editor in the future, and they are able to continue supporting it without the threat of another DMCA takedown. And lastly, I just want to end the video with some personal thoughts about this. Heaven Studio has been one of the most impactful projects to me in a long time, more than most video games have in recent years. I think this project has really formed an awesome community, and for all of the fan projects that Nintendo is just constantly taking down and giving notices to, this has been the first one that has really felt an impact on me personally that I was a part of, that really felt like this was a project that I really put passion into and allowed me to find sparks of creativity from not just from myself but from others. And you've seen and witnessed so many fun and amazing creative Rhythm Heaven fan levels that could only have been possible through this program and will continue to be, because I'm going to continue to use the program and continue making my own custom levels in the software. I think the editor is really robust, even though it could definitely be improved. I think it's a great tool to make rhythm game levels in, and I'm excited to see what people use it for beyond Rhythm Heaven. I think that's a really exciting venture. But yeah, this is super disappointing on Nintendo's part. But you never know why they would be doing this, especially for a series that hasn't seen a new game in years. Maybe Nintendo is cooking up a new Rhythm Heaven. If so, that would be really exciting. And just a final note to those who are subscribed to me on YouTube, just to let you know, I'm doing good. It's been a rough couple of months lately. I've been working overtime at my job and haven't really had the same commitment to content that I did at the beginning of the year. So please bear with me, but thank you for staying subscribed, even though I haven't been uploading. And I'm hoping that can change soon. Also, I'm currently putting the finishing touches on my own 15-minute Heaven Studio level, which is going to be a gauntlet of a challenge for those who are interested, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, let me know in the comments how you feel about the whole situation. I'll be sure to read over your comments, and see you next time.